ToonGrin.com.
I have seen gods fly. I've seen men build weapons that I couldn't even imagine. I've seen aliens drop from the sky.
Yeah.
But I have never seen anything like this. How much more are you hiding?
Hold up.
Welcome to Watchin' Stuff, the show about watching stuff. I'm Nero, and with me is my Canadian counterpart, WHYBOY, and today we're looking at the 18th film in Marvel's cinematic universe, Black Panther.
It really doesn't feel like the 18th movie at all. I'm not even saying that from that sort of perspective. Like, my initial thought of this movie was just that it doesn't feel like something that would come before, like, the major, almost climax of the whole series. It feels like something that should have been done, like, 10 years ago.
Here's the thing. Black Panther was being worked on years back, but Sony and Amy Pascal decided that they like to ruin properties, so they ruined Spider-Man with The Amazing Spider-Man, and then after they crawled on their knees and begged Mickey for forgiveness, to which Mickey said, "Kiss my ring hand," and then after they were done kissing his ring hand, Mickey's like, "Ha! I guess you're back in, but you're on probation." And then the first thing they did when they got Spider-Man back was they shoehorned him in the Civil War, but it worked actually in Civil War. They did shoe him in by all means. They shoehorned him in the Civil War, but they clearly only put him in there because they just got him back. And then right away they took Black Panther and they're like, "Fuck you." Spider-Man's movie's gonna be first. You go to the back. And then they pushed him away.
Oh my god. I just felt so bad for Black Panther, because by and large, the movie is just alright, for an origin story at least, but it's written like it's supposed to be an origin story and a continuation. But it really just ends up being neither.
Okay. The movie is a superhero origin story about the character of T'Challa. He is the king of a fictitious African nation known as Wakanda. It is the most advanced city in the Marvel universe. Not just cinematic universe, but also in like the comic books. It uses vibranium. It is a meteorite that fell from space. It is a type of metal that's very versatile. It can be used in any number of things. It's virtually indestructible. The only reason the cinematic universe used it so much is because they didn't have the rights to adamantium, which is what Wolverine's claws are coated in, but they didn't have the rights to Wolverine stuff because Fox was being a dick, but now they own Fox, so eat it, Fox. And so that's the whole thing, is that it's the story about T'Challa coming to terms with being the Black Panther. It's a superhero origin story.
Well, it's a quasi-superhero origin story, because the origin basically happened in Captain America Civil War.
It did.
Yeah.
It's
sort of the problem of this being an origin story, because the origin sort of basically is shown in flashback in this one, because T'Challa's father was basically killed in sort of a terrorist attack in Civil War, and now here he's becoming the true king here. Just saying that made me think of the Lion King.
This whole movie made me think of Lion King the entire time, like the uncle angle and like the nephew. Every bit about it, I'm just like, this totally reminds me of Lion King. Even like, was it Ziri, like his advisor?
Zazu.
I'm like, no, he didn't remind me of Zazu. He reminded me of Rafiki. Like, because like he exposits like knowledge, and it's like,
yeah,
it's like Rafiki. And I think my friend told me, he said, "Did you know like half these actors are going to be in like the live action CGI Disney Lion King movie too?" That's weird, isn't it? It's like,
it's a weird coincidence.
Dude, legit question.
Okay.
Did the CGI look really bad in this? Like, a lot, the scenery shots looked fake as hell, didn't they?
It definitely felt like most of it was on a soundstage. But it almost worked for me, because it almost felt like this whole thing was shot in, like, another world, in a sense, which I feel they were trying to go for it, because this is supposed to be, what was the name of this place again? Because after
Wakanda.
Yeah, Wakanda, because after finishing the movie, I kept thinking Uganda.
No, you would have known if it was Uganda. They have a real bad echidna problem. They're always asking about their queen.
Yeah, because I'll go into why I was going for Uganda and all that, but Wakanda feels like it's supposed to be like this magical place with all the oh god, what's the metal's name again?
The what?
Yeah.
Oh, the magic metal?
Yeah, the magic metal. That they
Vibranium.
Use vibranium. It's because they use vibranium to basically are the most advanced civilization basically in the known world, but they keep it all secret. So now they're
all a bunch of dick like 1%ers.
Yeah, that's sort of what I really found the most aggravating in this, because you basically get that sort of theming in Civil War for a little bit. As you have Black Panther just going like, no, we're not going to show any of our technology out there. But we are going to help this one white guy here, but yeah, not any other white guy until this second movie where they have to help another white guy.
I like the fact that
they openly say that.
Kind of, and this movie is... it's not that I think it's racist or anything, but there's something about it that...
It feels...
I think it thinks it's smarter than it is.
Yeah, it feels like it's trying to say much of a point. Like, like, it talks about the slavery of black people. It talks about them coming in on boats and all that. And it's just trying to... It's trying to, like, feel like it's trying to say this, like, big political message and also to, like, shake things up and all that. But it really is just sort of stating the obvious.
Well, like, okay, the main villain... I saw an article that someone's like, Killmonger has finally broken the problem with Marvel movies. It finally has a villain that is good that you can understand. And I'm like, this is just some racist asshole. What?
I understand him. Like, his father got killed and he wants revenge. How difficult is that?
Like, the thing is this, like, okay. Okay, King T'Challa's dad, sends his brother to America. His brother was selling vibranium to Ulysses Claw, which is a henchman.
Yeah.
And then he killed his brother as his brother was going to attack to kill his friend Zuri. And because of that, they abandon T'Chaka's brother. They leave his dead body there, and they leave his son. So his son grows up embittered, and he wants the throne. And nothing about Killmonger is an interesting character. And, dude, this might just be me.
Yeah, what is it?
When he says that line at the end to T'Challa, and he goes, "You might as well throw me in the ocean with my brothers." Because even they knew death was preferable to bondage. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like...
Wow, you're a pretentious asshole.
Like, I was sitting there in the theater, I'm like, okay, your dad died. That sucked. But you also grew up in California in, like, 1994. I'm not saying you didn't have hard times, but I'm saying living in a bad neighborhood is not equivocal to being ripped from your home, put in a cotton field, and whipped repeatedly for not picking shit fast enough. Are you kidding me with the... Like, it is so ridiculous where it's like, you don't understand what, like, the political message is. Are you trying to really tell me that whipped to death is equivalent to growing up in a bad neighborhood?
Yeah, that was just really weird, and it just totally goes against, like, his whole character, which was more like, sort of like the street sort of guy and such. Like, he's all about, like, I'm just gonna fight back with the extra amount of power, and he just goes into, like, oh yeah, throw me back into the ocean and such. Like,
his character feels like it changes too, where it's like, at first it's about, like, you know, there are people like us, which, by the way, I love it when he keeps throwing out the word, like, white colonists, and you're like...
Wow.
What? And he's like, if we gave these weapons to, like, people, like, our people on the street, and it's like, what people? Do you mean, like, oppressed black minorities? Is that what are you inferring we just start handing out weapons and somehow this will solve everything?
That just... like the biggest issue for the movie with me is that it's very heavy-handed with that, and like I felt that like there's that sort of like we got to keep this all secret and such was stupid in just Civil War, and now it's
I don't
expanded
understand.
here. It feels like everyone is just mind-bogglingly dumb.
How does the logic work in this? By the way, where like T'Challa's like, we must keep Wakanda a secret, dude. You went out in a panther suit on a busy freaking freeway. Chasing after Barnes, the Winter Soldier. It's a little late to start wondering, we should keep the Black Panther under wraps.
Yeah, and sort of my question of the whole thing, like, this is supposed to be like a third world country, basically, and in the lie and such. But he's supposed to be so rich enough that he can just, like, drop money and basically pay for a bunch of buildings by the end of the movie. He's supposed to be that rich in the third world country. How does that make sense?
Well, the third world country is just a lie, though.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, I get
I mean,
that, but...
I beg the question of, do you help no one else in Africa? Because, like, even the other tribes, I mean, like, okay, like the gorilla tribe, like, led by M'Baku.
Yeah.
Like, they're up in the mountains, and it's, like, snowy and a tundra. Like, they don't have super awesome tech. Where's their cool stuff? Like... honestly, I don't...
Yeah, like,
T'Challa's people are kind of dicks.
Yeah, they really are. And I was just wondering that, like, what was their issue again? Was like, what were they actually the only sensible ones out of the group? Just like, we should be sharing this with people? What was their deal?
It felt more like the idea was there were a bunch of tribes that used to war over each other, but like the Gold tribe, that's T'Challa's family, eventually took over, and then there were like neighboring tribes, because there was like the merchant tribe, the gorillas, the rhinos, and I'm pretty sure there's another one. There were a few tribes they brought up. The other ones don't do diddly, by the way.
Yeah,
not really.
Yeah, there's like 5 main ones, with the gorillas being the one that basically just the offset one.
Which, by the way, dude, is it just me, or did M'Baku's character change
Yeah,
from...
no, it totally did, because I thought he was like a much bigger guy in the, like his initial fight with Black Panther, and then like by the end of the movie he's just like, are you the same guy that I fought? You look completely different.
Like first in the opening, like he comes in with his brethren, and they're all hooting like gorillas, and he's got the really cool gorilla outfit. I am bummed they didn't call him by his comic book name, it's M'Baku the Man-Ape. And they thought, like, oh, if we call him Man-Ape, that's racist. One, no, it's not. He's a man who dresses like an ape.
Yeah, it's not talking about his skin color.
Yeah, it's not like it's a racial slur. He's literally a badass, huge dude who dresses like a silverback gorilla. That's awesome! And besides, it's better than a guy who calls himself Black Panther. I mean, wouldn't it just be a panther? Aren't all panthers black?
Yeah.
Just saying. And, like, M'Baku shows up in, like, the first act, and they have, like, the yearly challenge, where it's like, who challenges the house for leader of Wakanda? And M'Baku comes in and challenges him, and he comes off like he's really, like, tough and ruthless and fierce. And then when he comes back in the third act, he's, like, making jokes, and he's quirky, and you're like...
jokey and all that.
Like, he makes that weird death threat to Ross, where he looks at him and goes, if you don't shut up, I'll feed you to my children. And everybody looks horrified, and then he just goes, I'm kidding, we're all vegetarians. And everyone laughs, and you're like...
This is just weird.
What?
Like, I was having that same issue with, like, that other, like, that villain with the arm cannon, which I completely forgot after he disappeared.
Claw, who is a much cooler villain. In the animated series, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, he gets exposed to vibranium, and he becomes a beast, like a kaiju, made of pure sound.
Yeah. Okay.
They waste him. They just kill him off. They waste Andy Serkis as an actor.
Yeah,
for no reason.
Yeah, and then you replace him with Killmonger, the dullest villain out of the duo, though. And I didn't even think that he was a good villain at all. He was just, I'm wacky. Look at me, I'm just hiding vibranium in my crotch.
Yeah, if I won't be deep written, I'll just be weird.
That's the same, right?
Right? Same thing. Okay. Did you think T'Challa was boring? Because I felt he was very boring in this. Like, he was, even in his performance, it felt very... everything was very quiet.
He is a very monotone character. I wasn't bored by him, but I felt like he definitely doesn't feel like sort of like a main lead superhero sort of role. Like, just because this was a lot more personal of a movie and such, as a fallen T'Challa's just sort of way to like become king and such, and basically just sort of come to the mind-numbing realization that maybe my people were a bunch of assholes for not sharing our, world-saving technology with people.
Yeah, honestly, with this movie too, I felt like I don't like anybody. Like, as people, I don't like anybody. Like, Killmonger, I get it, he's the bad guy, so him being like a racist dick is fine. But the moment that he, like, brings in the notion of, like, we're gonna kill everybody who doesn't, like, fall in line. Oh, okay, so you're just a genocidal nutcase. You're really not that much different than Hitler.
Yeah, really.
Who was a genocidal nutcase. So, okay. And with honestly, it's a weird thing. Maybe it's a weird thing. I don't know. Maybe you'll agree with me, but, like, T'Challa's people all come off as just bigots. Like, there's a scene when they bring in Ross after he got shot in the back protecting T'Challa's ex-girlfriend, was it Nakia?
Yeah.
And his sister looks at him, she goes, oh, another injured white boy. And all I could think of is like, shut the fuck up. If there was a black person on that table and they wheel him in, I couldn't say, oh, another injured black boy. Because people would be like, that's fucking racist. Yeah, it works the same other way.
It really is weird. Where it just like sort of tone deaf with itself.
Like, do you think they're not aware that's like T'Challa's family is terrible? Like, we have all these technology and medical advances. We keep it all to ourselves. That makes you look pretty selfish, doesn't it?
It felt by the end like where T'Challa was just like, no, we gotta be better than this. That was the final moment, just like, there we go. Now you see the bleeding obvious.
We shouldn't all be selfish.
Go on. Wait,
you might be on to something.
Wait, Nero, I think I found something else out. The sky is blue, and water is wet. Did you know that? Oh.
No, I mean, it could be staring me in the face the entire time.
Like, it's sort of the issue that I had because, like, the introduction of this whole theme was introduced in Civil War. So you basically have to watch the two movies together to basically get the full thing.
Not even really that. If you go back and watch Civil War, his whole thing was like, he had to, it was a little bit touched on the idea that he had responsibilities as king, but then, like, he became the Black Panther, which I guess that means he got the heart fruit also somehow during the events of Civil War.
Yeah.
Because, like, that happened all really. Like, once they start adding more in, because I thought Black Panther's whole thing was, like, he was a dude. I thought he was like Batman.
Yeah.
Who had, like, really cool technology, and that was it. I didn't know he ate, like, a magical, he ate some devil fruit and got some, like, Neko powers from it. I never knew that. I thought he was just like Batman. I thought he was, like, a trained badass who just wore a really cool costume.
As well.
Instead, it's like, this movie's like, it's the heart fruit. And I know that the heart fruit's from the comics. I've learned about that. But, like, I thought he was just a guy in a costume that did stuff. And, like, the vibranium costume, like, gave him, like, enhanced strength and everything. And this one, it's like, no, he eats, like, the devil fruit and gets the Neko no Mai powers that makes him, like, super strong and, like, heal a little bit faster and more agile.
Yeah.
So then, that just makes me ask during Civil War, it's like, so your dad died. Did you, like, bring the fruit with you? Did you go and get the fruit? Like, what happened here? Did you also, like, did you have the Black Panther costume? Did you take it from your dad? It starts to make me actually think of, like, how Civil War starts to unravel, where it's like, well, wait a minute. How does it add up fully? And the thing is, with Civil War, you had a character arc for him, where it's like, I became the Black Panther, but I was doing it out of vengeance, when I have a responsibility to be better than this, to be bigger than this.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that's your hero arc, is that you need to be bigger than this.
But at the same time, they also added the fact that just like, I don't really want to help the outside world, though. And they basically interweaved that theme they just left dangling in Civil War to be wrapped up in this movie, where it doesn't really work that way, because you have basically no beginning to that theme, so you're basically stuck in the beginning just being like, well, we're all just a bunch of racist assholes who don't want to help out the world. Go on.
That's why. That's the other thing is like you kind of agree with Killmonger when he like comes in. He's like, you know, you guys talk about like how people are oppressed and it sucks. You know, like they show like women being sold into slavery and like Nakia like infiltrates them and kicks the shit out of the smugglers and saves all those women. And, you know, Killmonger's like, you know, our people are being sold into slavery and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's terrible. And then he, like, looks at all the rich, you know, uppity, like, 1%ers, and it's like, look at all you assholes. You hide up in your ivory tower, and you talk about, oh, everything's so bad out there. And then you do nothing to change it. And it's like, yeah, okay, I agree with you there. That's a very valid point.
Mm-hmm.
So his way to change it was give everybody weapons and people just start killing each other. That's not going to solve the problem. That's just being an anarchist.
Well, that basically was sort of his character. Like, even... Like, we talked about, like, the character Victor Zsasz before.
Claw acts more like a damn anarchist, though, because he was just a crazy person.
Yeah, and this guy is just like, oh, feel bad for me. I just etched myself all over my arm for everybody that I ever killed.
Just like Victor Zsasz.
And I just felt like, you're really just going to show that off? Like, it means something? I just thought it looked...
That means you're just, like, a psychopath. That's it. Like, you didn't grow up in, like, a warrior tribe culture. You were some kid who lost his dad in, like, a bad neighborhood, then joined the military, and then went out and killed people for, like, the military. And then, like, oh, and then, like, I tally myself for every person I killed. Yeah. You sound like a psychopath. You don't sound like some kind of noble warrior fighting for his birthright.
Like, what?
I think this would have been more interesting if the narrative was, like, T'Challa comes back to his country, and... you know, people are talking and everything seems a little uneasy and he's like, what's wrong? And they're like, this is your cousin. And he meets Killmonger. And don't make it like, maybe treat it like the origin story of both Killmonger and T'Challa.
Yeah.
Like, you haven't seen Doctor Strange, have you?
No, I haven't.
I won't spoil anything for you, but in the comics, Doctor Strange has a arch nemesis called Baron Mordo.
Mm-hmm.
And the Doctor Strange movie, it's the origin stories of Stephen Strange going from, you know, a jerkwad doctor, he gets humbled, and he becomes a sorcerer. It's also the origin story of how Baron Mordo is a close friend and ally, but becomes disillusioned with the way how the order that he was a part of used to do things.
Right.
And then he leaves, and he's like, no, you guys, the way you guys do things is wrong. I'm going to have to resolve things on my own. And he slowly starts his arc into becoming a villain. And that would have been great for this movie.
Yeah.
And this movie doesn't work for me as it is. And the argument's like, oh, Killmonger's kind of like... I've heard people say he's like Magneto to Professor X. And honestly, to me, that's a horrible analogy, because all Professor X does is gather up a bunch of mutants and keep them in his mansion. It's not like the mutants go out and do volunteer work or have marches to say, we're people too. They just go hide in a mansion, learn how to use their powers, and then get into a turf war with a bunch of racist assholes called the Brotherhood of Mutants. So that's a horrible parallel.
Yeah, like the issue for the movies for me is... It's like what we said before. It feels like it's trying to feel like it's saying a lot more than it actually is. It feels like a simplistic movie trying to wear the coat of a much more complicated movie. Something like this should have been like done in the time of like the first Iron Mans and such.
Right. This should have been like Wave 1.
Yeah, that's exactly what my friend said. Like, I watched it with my friend. Like, as soon as we finished the movie, he basically said like, yeah, this feels like a Wave 1 movie.
Because we're like. The entire time, and I couldn't stop laughing about this. I really couldn't. And it's like, everything's trying to be so serious, and it's like, you know, Wakanda must stand together. And in the back of my head, man, Thanos is going to show up and fuck up everybody's day. When that big purple bitch comes from the sky, he's going to ruin everybody's shit.
That's supposed to be the next movie, isn't it? And this is supposed to be the one that precedes that?
Yeah, also Ant-Man 2's coming out, so now I'm all going to be thinking during, like, Ant-Man, there's going to be like a big purple alien that's going to show up and just wreck everyone's day. Here's the thing. I understand that the Marvel movies are loosely connected with each other, but I can't help but think, with something like Infinity War, you know, we're climbing the mountain, and we're going to get to Infinity War. I feel like if you're gonna do 2 movies this year along with Infinity War, those 2 films should be building up towards that one.
Yeah, it needs to be an epic sort of level, but Black Panther is not an epic movie. It's a personal story.
And it doesn't even feel that well written of a personal story.
Yeah, because
even like T'Challa was like before if we share this technology with people, you know, they could use it and abuse it. And then it's like goes to his dad. You were wrong to ditch that kid and be selfish, says the man running a kingdom who keeps all this crap for themselves.
It's like, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. You all are a bunch of assholes. I'm gonna do it right.
Which isn't it weird that his character arc is like, I was a selfish dick like my dad. I'm not gonna be a selfish dick anymore. Let me get this straight. It took your dad like ruining a kid's life to get you to realize you need to not be a douche.
It feels like something that should be blitheringly obvious. Even Ross just comes in and just like, I don't know anything about this, but I know common sense enough to know that this stuff is amazing.
We got like hover bikes. Let me get this straight. We could be not using fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And you just keep that to yourself.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Like, what would you rate this? Because you're not a comic book fan. You know, you go into these movies really raw.
Yeah, I would sort of start out with saying like a good watch, but as time goes on, like it is really nothing like super amazing about it that basically would like make me come back to it. Like in Iron Man and stuff,
right?
Yeah, it's definitely a meh overall. It's just not something that really just sticks with you. There's nothing really something that basically be like, oh god, I just don't want to see this movie anymore, or it was boring. It was just an all-right action movie that just went through all the beats and just did it competently enough.
Okay.
There is one thing I would like to mention that basically just pushed it to be like, oh my god, that's stupidity.
Which one? Because there's one I'm thinking of. So what's yours?
It's inclusion of a meme right in close to the beginning. Basically, for those of you who don't really remember, there was a meme called Damn Daniel. And that meme is a guy named Daniel walks along his merry way, and a guy with a camera behind him just go pointing at his shoes, go like, damn Daniel, look at you walking around with those sneakers. Or just something along those lines. And it was a series of videos that's basically just going, damn Daniel. And then there's also another meme, which is basically a guy with a camera pointing at a cop. Then he points at his shoes going, what are those? That's the meme. And they use that meme in this movie. And I'm just
so it didn't date it at all. It didn't date it at all is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It's like, oh my god, what the heck? Why would you include that? Like, after that point, I was expecting, like, oh my god, hopefully they don't do you know the way? Do you know the way? I was expecting that so much. And after that.
Okay, here's one that threw me off. You remember when Nakia and Okoye are chasing Claw in the van, and then he shoots the van, and like Okoye does like the amazing cool flip with the spear, and then the car seat just slides downhill as she sits there holding on to like the handle, and you're just like, the fuck is this? Like a Looney Tunes skit? What's happening? How is she not dead? The other one like leaped over the car. She was in the car.
That was just like a weird
and hit by like a cannon.
Cartoon logic. It's just like very weird moments of levity in all this. Like the sneakers.
Right? Where it's like, I thought you guys were like advanced.
Like,
how do you not know what sneakers are?
Sneakers.
And the weird thing is they establish like they have spies everywhere that they send out into like foreign nations to get information and bring back so they could then take like that technology ideas and advance it.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know something as simple as like Nike sneakers. Not to be racist or nothing. Isn't that where we send shoes to like, kids in like those like third world nations?
Yeah, exactly.
It's really weird.
Like,
honestly,
like,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
In terms of ratings, I'm torn because, like, I think it's meh. I almost think it's a crud where it's like, this wasn't really interesting. This was kind of lame. The humor fell flat. The villain wasn't the least bit interesting. Andy Serkis was entirely wasted. That sucks. We could have used. I feel like this really kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, but it's an okay action flick. It's all right. It's like you. I feel it's just meh. But I honestly, I wouldn't watch this ever again.
Yeah.
I never feel the need to watch this ever again.
Right.
I feel like it didn't. I don't feel like it helped build the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think it suffered from a missed opportunity because we are missing a Infinity Stone. Those are the things that Thanos puts in his gauntlet.
Right. Yeah.
I thought they were going to use the Soul Stone, and that explains why he could talk to all the chieftains.
My friend actually brought that up. They were basically asking for that. Like, where did the Soul Stone go? Like, are they going to bring it up here at all?
And it's like, no, he just goes to like he goes through like a ritual, and he goes to like Panther Heaven, where he could talk to the chieftains.
Which I found was like, that's kind of, I like the tribal aspect in this movie, because I feel it basically adds sort of a texture to the world and such. But that almost just seems kind of stupid to me. It's just like, well, let's just bury him. Let's have him almost suffocate to death.
Which, that it might be based on a real culture thing. We don't know. I do find it weird how many people are like, okay, first off, I think it's great because I've been on like some forums where people have said like, this makes me proud to be a black person. That's great that you could connect to movie on an emotional level. My thing is this though, is like, you do know this is like a bullshit African nation, right? This isn't a real African society. It's a made up one with like hover cars. How much of this is really accurate to real African culture is my question.
Yeah, that's just sort of my feeling for it. And so when they just start talking about just like, we're going to send these guns down to basically, propagate everybody to make them all feel strong again. And I'm just like, that feels kind of sketchy,
I don't know. The one I thought that was funny is one of my friends said, it's funny how this really advanced society with like so much culture and like amazing technology solves their problems by whipping out spears and shields and just beating the shit out of each other. Dude, no, that whole third act where they're fighting, it totally reminded me of the Gungans versus the droids from Episode 1 of Star Wars.
Yeah, with their laser shields.
And I'm just sitting there the entire time and I'm just like, what is happening?
This is some old-fashioned new technology.
It might be the idea is like, oh, we want to integrate old technology or like, the old way of doing things with new tech, and that's cool and creative, and that's fine. I'm not against that idea. It just felt weird to me, and again with the characters, I couldn't connect, especially like when one of the characters is always like, Americans, hey, that's racist. That'd be like me. Fucking Africans. Yeah, you see, all of a sudden I'm an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, you don't stop being racist because you're not white. That's not how it works.
Yep. Simple as that.
It's simple as that. You do not stop being racist if you discriminate at an individual because of their culture, their skin, their religion, the way they look. You are a racist person. So when a character says something like white boy or American, you are a racist. Knock it the off. Also, this might just be me. Did the white boy comment feel like awkwardly out of place? Like that felt like more modern Hollywood.
Yeah, it really seemed really weird. It just felt like, oh yeah, it was just kind of just politically driven and all that. Let's put white boy in there.
It reminds me of like Suicide Squad, where Deadshot, who like Floyd Lawton's normally Caucasian in the comics, but because he's black in the movie played by Will Smith, there's a part where he looks over at the white guy that he's reporting to, General Flagg, and he says, you know what I want to work for you guys? You need to get my daughter into the Ivy League, and if you can't get her in because of grades, you gotta white people that shit. And I'm just like, what the does that mean? Are you saying black people can't have higher education? What the hell is happening right now? That's weird.
You're kind of in the right part of the world to get that stuff.
that stuff always throws me off when it's like, they did the same thing, like in Jumanji, there's just one joke I hated, where Kevin Hart eats a cake, and he says, "What's wrong?" And he looks around and he goes, "Am I still black?" And I'm just like,
what does that mean?
what the fuck does that mean? So if you were white all of a sudden, would that be terrible? Is that what you're saying? It's just a weird thing where it's like, would you have a white guy look around and just go, "Am I still white?" As opposed to what?
Wait, what was the cake supposed to do? I don't get that.
In Jumanji, everybody has like a weakness. So like, his character's weakness is cake? Trust me.
Okay.
It's a legit funny joke.
No.
His character weakness is like, his character's supposed to be an intellectual character. So like, he can't, like, strength is a weakness, his agility is a weakness, and cake is a weakness. So the joke is like, when he reads it, he's like, strength's a weakness. How can strength be a weakness? That's an oxymoron. And then it's like, cake. And he's like, cake? Cake's a weakness? How does that even work? So at one point they end up going to a bazaar, and when they go to the bazaar, the cool popular girl who's trapped in the body of Jack Black, she's like, "Oh, I'm so hungry." And they start eating food at the bazaar, and she's like, "Oh, this bread is so delicious and sweet." And Kevin Hart's character comes up and eats and he's like, "This is bread? This tastes really sweet. What is this?" And the guy at the bazaar, he goes, "Oh, that's my famous pound cake." Cake? Did you say cake? And he looks at the girl, and the girl's just like, "Well, I don't know what cake tastes like. I'm all about keeping my appearance and good looks up. I haven't tried cake in years. I just assumed this is what bread is." So at one point he like looks around and he's like, "Oh God, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Am I still black? Yeah, you're fine." And he just looks around and he goes, "Okay, everything's fine." And then he just explodes. And he dies, and then he comes back because he had another life.
Oh my god!
Because the joke was like, cake was a weakness, so it blew him up. But it's one of those jokes where it's like, if we want to integrate the idea of like
a racial joke,
or well, not even a racial joke, but if we're all people and that's it,
yeah.
We need to stop saying shit where it's like, you gotta white people that shit. You gotta go up to your girl and slap her on the ass and shut that shit down. Don't fucking talk like that. Like, that sounds ridiculous.
It really just speaks as though everyone is just sort of a conglomerate of people. The whites, the blacks, the Asians, and all that. We're not all conglomerates of things. We're all individual people who mostly don't give a crap about each other.
Yeah, and that's the thing where it's like, oh, I thought this was going to be a bit, maybe more about integration with this movie, and people will argue, like, it is about integration. Not really. At the very end, he just goes to the UN, and he's like, "Okay, we have some shit to show you," and that's it. Like,
me and my friends made that one joke. The first thing they show them, sneakers. We got sneakers, folks.
That'd be great if that was the first thing they shared. It's like, do we want to tell them about Nike?
Yeah. Just like, should we just tell them? No.
Like, here's the thing. I understand the cultural importance to this to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It's like, an superhero, and not like African American. We're talking African, a hero from Africa, albeit a bullshit fictitious country in Africa, but a place
works.
In Africa nonetheless. It still works. Let's be honest. All the Marvel characters are kind of bullshit. I mean, like Stephen Strange. I don't know about you. I never went to a magic fucking mountain and got magic powers.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just saying.
Like, it's all.
I understand. I understand the cultural importance to this. I feel like though, coming out of this movie, it feels like it wants to be smarter than it is, and I would dare argue it's partially Disney's fault. It couldn't be smarter than it is, because Disney's like, "Hey man, we still gotta appease all audiences and play it safe."
Yeah.
So
it either
you can do political stuff, but
it needs to be a higher tier of that. It either needs to be a higher tier, or it needs to understand that it should have just been a fun action movie to show off the African superhero.
Yeah.
To actually just be that icon, just like the Iron Man, the Captain America says. It needed to be his movie to basically show off his character. But it just, like, he was just sort of squished between just sort of political messages around him.
Also, this is a legit thing that really did irk me. Where was Captain America? Like, I don't know if you know about this. I'm sure your friends did talk to you about it. But at the end of Civil War, Captain America, the Black Widow, Winter Soldier, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and I believe Scarlet Witch all escaped, and they took refuge in Wakanda because the American soldiers couldn't like go and retrieve them, otherwise they'd be at war with the Black Panther and his people.
Right.
So like he was giving them refuge.
Oh, right.
And at the end of the movie, it's just like, okay, Winter Soldier is getting detoxed so they can get rid of the mind control from like the Soviets that made him into the Winter Soldier. That's fine, I get that. Where's Ant-Man? Where's Hawkeye? Where's Captain America? Where's Scarlet Witch? Why aren't we addressing any of the... Here's the thing. They didn't need to... I would have liked a cameo from them. I can understand from a money standpoint. They couldn't do that. I understand that even one of the reasons why the CGI might not be that good in this is because Infinity War is going to have a lot of characters and a lot of special effects, so money might have had to been pulled and put into that project specifically. I get it. Couldn't we have one line of dialogue, just one, addressing it? I would have been happy if, like, when T'Challa came back and he comes back to Wakanda and he's like, you know, where's Steve? And they say, oh, you know, Captain America and the Winter Soldier left to go to detox to help with, you know, the mind controlling. We're trying to have that removed from him. And just some dialogue like Ant-Man went back to America because clearly in the Ant-Man trailer, as we saw, he's clearly back in America.
Yeah.
So that needs to be addressed, and maybe it'll be addressed in the Ant-Man movie. That's fine. But I can't help but think, like, you had all these characters that went to Wakanda and were, like, taking refuge there. Nothing.
Yeah, it's just for Bucky at the end, which I felt like, speaking as just someone who doesn't really follow the movies as much, it just felt like that was just sort of a weak end credit scene.
A lot of them have been like that recently, where it's like... It's just something they put at the end because they have to now. Like, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the ending stinger was literally Howard the Duck. It didn't tie into anything. It was just a joke of, look, Howard the Duck is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now.
Like, that would be actually fine if it was just for an ending sort of scene. Like, because a lot of movies do that sort of stuff. Like I can remember even in some Scooby-Doo movies they do sort of end credits sort of jokes. That would be fine. But because they're more well known for like showing off story beats and such, basically just sort of tease you for the next one. When they do inconsequential stuff, just like showing Bucky detoxing, which we already could assume from the actual end of Civil War and all that.
You could even assume that just from the trailer of Infinity War, where it's like, well, clearly they didn't put a mind control guy in just the field.
Yeah, just like you didn't really need that.
Yeah, it does. Everything about this felt weak, and I honestly would put it on like the fact that's like, we just got the rights to SpiderMan. Let's get a movie out for that as quickly as possible. And then they pushed back Black Panther, and I was like, oh, maybe if it was out in Wave 2 like it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it definitely would have felt a lot stronger in Wave 2. Or
the fact that's like, here's an origin about Black Panther. Wow, it's really weird. It's Black Panther, I'm finally getting my due. I'm getting set up. What the fuck is that purple scrotum shit-looking alien doing? This doesn't suck for you. I wonder how bad his nation's gonna be hit when the big purple alien comes out and it's just like, dead, get out of my way. I'm just hitting you. Like, I'm not even hitting you with my gloved hand. I'm hitting you with my regular hand, and I'm whooping your ass.
I'm just gonna go down to the vibranium mines. Boom. There we go. Whoosh. Because that's obviously gonna happen.
Mine now.
Yeah. Either mine now or destroy everything.
Yeah, that's like they got rid of the Neko Majin fruit. So like, you know, now they like, you can't make any more Panthers.
just like, what do we do now?
Yeah. So yeah, you and I are there. Meh. That's all that can really be said. Like, is it terrible? No, it's not like it's a DC movie, so relax. Yeah. You know, it's
serviceable
it could always be worse.
It's serviceable for what it wants to be. And it just does everything all right. You just have to expect them, not high tier thing. It's just middle of the road.
Yeah. So guys, we do appreciate you for stopping by. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell for notifications. Just give it a little love tap so you can get all the updates. You can support us through TeePublic and Patreon. You can also support us through T-Blocks. It's an awesome online store with all sorts of pop culture shirts and nerd paraphernalia. WHYBOY, what is the code we give the fine people for T-Blocks?
ToonGrin TBX. If you place that into checkout, you get 10% off any of the t-shirt boxes that T-Blocks offers. And you get a nice snazzy new graphic tee that has I'm just trying to think what they have.
Well, the last one we saw was Adventure Time.
Yeah, Adventure Time, but you can go for sci-fi, you can go for western, you can go for any cartoon, so maybe Scooby-Doo, maybe Adventure Time, maybe regular show. You'll have to just see if you open your T-Blocks. So go to the description below and basically do that.
Yeah, so, till next time, guys, always remember to tune in
to ToonGrin.